and happy Tuesday morning. The last Tuesday of the month. There's only a couple of days left of July, and suddenly 7 months will be out of the way and five left for the year. So, what's happening with you all? With halfway through the summer, uh, it's going to be an interesting rest of the year. I know that one. We all have our stuff, and that's kind of what I did for today's show. Is a chance to kind of sit back and take it easy, go through things that are going on, ideas, and then, as always, I want to start with check on those around you. Check on those who they've been through something, whether it was a medical issue, a family issue, job, work related, all these different things that we can go through. And when we're in the midst of it, it's really difficult. I mean, it can be somebody that you know who was depressed, and check in on them to see how they're doing. Maybe it's been a week, it's been a month, it's been a year. That doesn't mean that they've gotten over it, even if they're walking around with a smile. Too often, we've been taught how to put on a mask, look like everything's fine, even when it's not. I know this really well. I've done this myself. And what really matters, especially when you're in the midst of these difficulties, is when somebody reaches out and says, checking in on you, how you doing? I know you've been through something. You're looking fine, but I just want to make sure, how is it going? And that gives them a chance to know that somebody actually does care, because you never know where they're really at. These masks, and when they say fine, if they say fine, don't take that as the answer either. As A. Garcia says, fine is feelings inward, not expressed. And we do this one so well in this world. Go through the cash register line, the checkout person says, how you doing? You say fine, end of conversation. Fine is a conversation ender. You don't learn anything with it. So check in and make sure they are doing okay. When I talk about my sponsors, I always start with my dear sis, Dr. Constance Leland, with Level Up Academy. She's focused on, and she's getting there. I know she is. The Netflix of education. She's a queen of publicity. She has so many different things that she's working on, and it's been so much fun because I'm working with her on a number of those, and I'll talk about those a little bit later. Right now, when it comes to CJ, she's got this ability to help people level them up, and not just if it's publicity. If you've got a product that you're ready to start doing something with, you want to get it out there, then she's the person to talk to. Let her know what you've got. She's got access to all these different industries. She's got access to premium magazines. Those are the ones that you have to pay for, yet she can find discounts. She's got her own podcast. She does a live stream. I suspect that TV show's coming back. You never know when she's going to be back on radio. So check her out. And if you've got something, you've got a book, you've got a product launch, you've got a business launch, you want to get the word out about something you're doing or about your company, talk to her, because she knows how to listen and basically make sure that you're set up for that success. If you're not ready, she'll tell you you're not ready, and she'll tell you, guide you what to do to get ready, so that then she can help promote you and really let you fly. You don't want to promote if you're not ready, and she doesn't want to promote you if you're not ready. That's the way it should be. The Hounds of Business. Here's a group that, when I see them, I think collaboration over competition. The hounds, I've seen so many different people that it seems like they're doing the same thing. Yet once they're in the hounds, they connect, they start talking, and they start working together. You realize when this happens that collaboration over competition doesn't mean that you can't work with somebody that might be in the same field, do the same things as you. You're not the same. You have a different audience. Working together allows you to remove some of the anxieties of trying to do a project, trying to put things together, because you can share. It gives you a chance to learn from each other. You get shared experiences. You get the you get to share each other's communities, which means you open each other up to new opportunities. So check out the hounds, contact Mike Ashebrainer, and see how you can fit into the hounds and start collaborating. And then my dear sis with Danielle with C&M Consulting. They're a leading management and advisory consulting firm that specializes in human resources. And what organization doesn't need to have somebody that it can call on to help them when it comes to human resources, to HR? They center around empathy-driven and heart-led solutions, which is exactly how my dear sis is. They ensure compliance with regulatory requirements while fostering a culture of trust and workplace excellence. They know what to look for. They know what they're doing. And this, when it comes to HR, when it comes to meeting those regulatory requirements, you got to have somebody you can count on. Reach out to Danielle. I love to put this one up for my dear sis with Bella Grace. She talks about this elixir all the time. I haven't had a chance to do this, but I have had use their lip balms, which I absolutely adore. But the elixir, I've heard from CJ, I've heard from April. They started on this, and within a short period of time of taking this elixir, because it's got a lot of natural stuff. I know CJ's trying to get the person who basically put this together on her show. It's got these natural products to basically help the body, and both of them have talked about how pains that they've dealt with have gone away after starting on the elixir. So if you want more information, scan that QR code, talk to CJ if you've got questions, and try it. I know it won't be long before I start trying this one myself, and I'm looking forward to that because I really need something like that. Of my sisters, I'm the oldest, so uh, it's time for me to add something else to the mix, and the elixir is really what I want to do. We talk about our dear niece, Danielle's daughter, Elise. She had a huge scare last month when she had finished her kindergarten. That's her graduation picture on June 2nd. And then not even a week later, she's in the hospital with Kawasaki disease. And it's something that's rare. It's something that she's had to deal with. And it really has flipped her life around. It's flipped the whole family's life upside down. If you remember what it was like in 2020, in 2021, when we have to basically go around wearing masks all the time. Well, little Elise is dealing with being immunocompromised right now, and so that's what they're doing. They're in that same situation again of wearing the masks and isolating and doing everything they can to make sure that this little girl gets healthy. And she's got an amazing spirit, amazing personality, and just like any other child, she needs that opportunity to nurture it, and really let herself explode onto the scene. Well, it's taking a lot of medical issues right now to get her healthy. And so we set this GoFundMe up for Danielle, for Elise, to make sure that those costs that don't get covered by insurance, that they can be covered, because no family's got that extra money sitting around to spend on medical issues when things are already tight. So check out this, scan the QR code, check it out, and if you can help, whether it's helping through the GoFundMe, whether it's your prayers, whether it's passing the word about Elise, anything you do is helpful, and we are so grateful for it. And then we want you to know that our paperback is out. Grateful, Our Heart Wide Open. This is our most recent anthology. The paperback is now out, and what we've done with this is just like the last book, Stories from Everywhere. This one, the photos are in color inside the book. I mean, I absolutely love this cover. When CJ and I first talked about the title, and then we started talking about what should the cover be, she sent me this. It was the first thing she sent me. It was the last thing she sent me. I love this cover. It's like, that's me. And when we did this, we had amazing stories from these authors, stories that we never expected. So check out Grateful, A Heart Wide Open. It's available in Amazon. And if you didn't know, the next one in the space between is open. So here we are talking about an anthology that it's that space in between. We're going to have real stories, real power, soul-bearing essays and memoirs from a diverse voices. It's going to be a heart-led, soul-hearted journey through grief, growth, reinvention, resilience, something that readers need to see, and the stories that are going to be authored in here. I'm really looking forward to seeing who's going to be a part of this one. Scan the QR code for more information. This is going to be an amazing, amazing book. Actually, they all have been. So there we are, 15 minutes in, and I've just gone through all of these. and now, let me see who's in. My dear sis Danielle was first, and there's CJ. Yeah, this is going to be a fun topic because I'm trying to keep the grateful piece, and this is episode 101. I had CJ and Danielle here last week for 100, and now I want to just take a moment to sit back with everybody. Troy, it's lovely to see you here. How are you doing, Uzman? There's Homer from the Philippines. Awesome. Welcome, Sharon. Hi, Christy. Thank you for stopping by. Yeah, it's going to be a whole lot of fun today because I'm going through. It's just such a variety of things that I'm going to go in. Part of it is because I've been here for a while, and every once in a while, whether it's through a post on LinkedIn or when we have our live streams, to just talk a little bit about our story. What got us here? What are we doing? Because sometimes people just aren't quite sure. What is it you do? For me, it's speaking, it's writing, it's a consultant. part of the reason why I talk about move beyond boxes is I never fit the box. All my life, people told me who I am, what I'm supposed to be, what I'm supposed to do, what they expected of me, and I tried to fit those boxes. I tried to contort myself to fit spaces that I didn't fit, to try and fit into places where either I thought I belonged or I wanted to belong. But the problem with fitting in, and I talk about this all the time, is we end up having to put a mask on. We put these masks on to fit in so that people can't see the real us, the good, the bad, and the ugly. Because we have all of those pieces. If you're in a space of belonging, you're able to do and drop that mask and open up and say, this is who I am, this is what I'm going through, this is the good, this is the bad, this is the ugly, and not be judged for it. Be supported by those around you in a space of belonging. But when you're trying to fit in, you already know you don't belong. Because you know you've got to hide things about you. Maybe you're neurodiverse. Maybe you overcame an addiction. Maybe you have a disability of some type, whether it's physical, whether it's mental, you're an immigrant, you have a non-regional accent, and the list goes on. All these things that we can hide because we either know something about this group we want to belong to and understand that we can't show this piece of us because we don't know how they're going to react, or we might know how they're going to react and we're afraid of it. Fear is a big motivator for these masks. Fear is a big motivator to try and force us to fit in instead of stand up as our authentic self, stand up as who we were created to be. So then you're looking at these masks when you've got it fitting in. And then once you realize you don't belong in that space, sometimes it's really hard to extract yourself from it. You've already gotten into the box. You've already set yourself up to do whatever it is everybody else is around you. It's like being a lemming. If they go jump off the cliff, you're right there with them because you're afraid to not go with them. You're afraid to not be a part of the group once you've gotten in. That's not the safest way to go. The fear will tell us. Exactly, Sharon. Diversity is so important. The fear is real, and the fear basically tells us to just follow the others and do what they do and don't step out of line. And if we acknowledge who we really are inside, if we're neurodiverse, maybe it's ADHD, it's autism, it's bipolar, borderline, and many others, to acknowledge it, to accept it, that doesn't mean you have to talk about it. But you shouldn't fear others finding out. That's what fear is doing when it says you need to fit in. You need to hide this piece. When you go into a work environment and you don't know anybody, the mask is always on at the beginning until you figure out, can you drop the mask? Can you open up to people around you? But really, what I've experienced in my life is everywhere I go, they're really keeping those masks on. They're being superficial in the conversations. They're not going deep. And for some of us, we need that deeper connection. We need that connection where we feel safe, honestly safe, and know that we can be ourselves without judgment. I talk this for belonging, um, and boxes because I lived this. I spent a half century, over a half century, basically trying to be who and what others told me I was supposed to be and what I was supposed to do. Think about it. You're denying who you are, which is what I was doing. Denying who I was, not accepting pieces of who I was because I was afraid of how others were going to treat me. And it truly is, Sharon. Um, Conformity is very corrosive because you're losing yourself when you try to conform, especially when you don't belong in that space. And for me, I didn't belong in so many of the spaces I was in, and that includes family. I mean, a lot of us might go, family, that's who you're supposed to be with. That's who you're supposed to be able to trust. Well, it's family that caused me to withdraw from almost everybody and everything in my life from an early age. And because of that, it's shaped how my life basically went from that point to now. Um, I've been through situations and had my own roller coasters, ups and downs. It can be really difficult when you start understanding who you are. You start knowing that wearing a mask, hiding things it's actually killing you. It's not helping you. And understand too, I keep saying this, when we take the mask off, that doesn't mean we tell everybody what was behind the mask. We don't have to say anything about it. The important thing about taking the mask off and being in a space that's safe is if somebody finds out, if somebody comes up to you and says, I hear this about you. If you've got the mask on, that really means you're going to panic and fear is going to take over and you're going to stumble and it is not going to end well unless you're really good with how you talk and how you maneuver things. It's not going to end well. I've been there. When the mask is off, which means if they find out, they find out. If they don't, they don't. When somebody comes up and says, I hear this about you, it's your right to say, well, whether that's true or not, it's really none of your business. You just let it go. If you want to admit it, you admit it. If not, you just, I'm not going to talk about it. It's not worth talking. I don't want to give it the time of day. I don't want to give it my energy to talk with you about this topic and leave it at that and go forward. But suddenly the anxiety that you'd felt when the idea that you were going to have to deal with this if somebody found out and you're wearing the mask, you also got anxiety all the time. You got worries, you've got fears. You can have panic because you don't know if, when, how somebody might find out, and then how they might treat you differently if they even talk to you anymore. I mean, taking the extremes. And yes, psychological safety uh, is extremely important. Uh, I'm in the midst of doing actually an academic chapter with CJ on an academic anthology, and my focus on my chapter is belonging and productivity. So when we feel like we belong in the workplace, then we're more productive Again, I've been talking about these masks. We're able to drop the mask. That doesn't mean that we're telling people what was behind the mask. We drop it and we engage more. And psychological safety is the first piece that I talk about within this context. If you don't have psychological safety in the workplace, it's very hard to engage meaningfully with other people. It's very hard to share your ideas if you're always wondering, if I share this thought of how to make things better, will they figure out that the reason that I have this idea is because of this part of me, and I don't want anybody to know. You want to be able to be open, and when you feel safe, you can be open. You're not worried about people attacking you, treating you differently. You provide more ideas, and this is why diversity is also good in the workplace. You get different ideas when everybody's the same, when they're all thinking the same, when they're all acting the same. You really don't get a diverse group of thought. And sometimes, and I've posted about this as well when I talk about diversity, when somebody, let's say you're looking to hire people, and somebody comes in and they have an accent, and it's a thick accent. Everything about them is great. They're like they feel like a great fit, but they have this accent, and so you the person that's going to do the hiring is kind of going, do I really want to deal with this accent, blah blah blah, and they're thinking that when they should be thinking, this person, look at what they've done, look at what they can do, and they seem like the best fit. They might be the person that you need to get you over that hurdle on whatever that project is that everybody's been stuck on. Or they've got the idea because they have different experiences, different perspectives. And we need to have patience with everybody. So in this case, maybe it has to do with an accent. Maybe it has to do with a neurodiverse issue. Maybe they have ADHD. Maybe they have autism. And you sit there and it's like, can I work with this? Well, think about it. You can work with them if everything about them is fits. You need to think about not only the fit in the group. What do they bring that's different? What do they bring that can add something to the mix? Look at the diversity. So psychological safety is so important when it comes to the workplace, when it comes to home, when it comes to social settings. We all deserve to be psychologically safe. That's why we have communities. That's why we have groups. So that's one of the things I talk about when it comes to belonging, and when it comes to the boxes. I mean, that's where we're hidden. That's where I talk about the mask, but the mask is really the outward face of the box, because we've built walls around us. We've built this box around us, or we crawl into a box that somebody else says we're supposed to crawl into. They say, you're this is what you're supposed to do, and you just go, okay, and you try to fit. You try to get into that box, and once you're in, you've contorted yourself, you're stuck, you don't know how to get out. Fear is going to hold you back, claiming to be taking care of you. but that doesn't mean that it's taking care of you. You want to go in and find these ways to get out of the box. And when I talk about this, I talk it on the level of when we're stuck, when we're in these positions, oftentimes we know what to do. We know our situation. We know who's controlling or what, if it's our fear. Um, and in that fear, that's us, because it might be imposter syndrome. It might be just you don't want to upset the cart. You don't want to bother somebody. You don't want to open up and get stereotyped. Uh, I've seen some surveys, and for women, one of the things that we're at is we we tend to kind of sit back and not step out because we don't want to be stereotyped. For men, they don't want to bother people. And these are from some reports that I've posted about, from JobSage. I think is where those were. JobSage from 2022, I believe, and Deloitte has had some of these as well. Hey, Nicole, it's great to see you here. Um, yeah, nobody wants a box of 64 crayons all the same, and that would be so true. Um, that's really how we got our first book. When we did Beyond Boundaries, Thriving in Life's Gray Zone, my whole focus in my chapter was the gray zone is where the color is. And if you're within the boundaries, that's all black and white. Because everything is, you're doing what you're told. You're not letting yourself be free. When we're free, that's where the colors are. When we're in that box, when we're stuck and we know what we're supposed to do, but we don't do it. It's just like you shouldn't have that extra piece of pie after dinner, or you should go for a walk, but you don't. It doesn't happen. When your awareness kicks in, and this is what I want to do, especially with women and veterans who are just feeling stuck, it's to help them ignite that awareness to say, you don't have to stay stuck. You don't have to be where you're at. You can move beyond that box, but you need that awareness to take the first step. One of the things I say all the time, if knowing is half the battle, awareness is the first step. Awareness is taking action. Knowing, sometimes we can take action when we know, other times we don't. It doesn't happen. When we take action, that's our awareness kicking in, and we start making the steps to move beyond that box, whether we do it on our own. And I've done that. A lot of my moving beyond boxes, the beginning piece was really doing it on my own. I finally hit a point where I'd had enough. And so my awareness kicked in to start stepping out of that box and say, I'm done with what everybody else says. I already know who I am. I know who I am, what I was created for. I know my authentic self. I'm done hiding it. Here we go. That awareness takes that and gets that going. But then there's also those times that we need help getting out of the box. um, isn't that kind of hot in Phoenix? But as I got out of the box, there were still things that were holding me back. There's experiences. It was hard for me to connect with people, hard for me to go out and about. Um, I really wasn't going anywheres. Then I met my bestie, and once I connected with CJ, and as that connection just deepened into true sisterhood, true sense of belonging, we can be open about anything with each other. There are no masks. Then she she reached out to me at the end of 2023 and said, "Do you want to go to Podfest with me?" And Podfest was in Orlando. I hadn't traveled anywheres really since before the pandemic, and I was nervous. I mean, it's like solo traveling, and so I hemmed and hawed and thought about it, and then finally and told her everything that I was worried about, and then we're like, okay, I know she's got my back. And she kept saying, "I got your back. Don't worry about it. I got your back," and she did. I said, "Okay, tell me when you're gonna arrive, when you're gonna leave, because I mean we're coming from 1,000 miles apart to go to the same destination." And she gives me the data. I do a quick search to figure out what am I looking at for flights, airlines, and everything. And it turns out it's like God meant this to happen. I was meant to get out of the box. I was meant to have somebody basically lovingly push me out of this box to get out even further into the world. Because that trip, I went from my home to the airport that she's at. We met in the airport for the first time in person. Now think about what that is like. You've known somebody online for over a year, about a year, and that first in-person meeting, you wonder, are they going to be the same person that they are when you interact online? Well, as soon as I saw her, as soon as we connected, it's like we'd never been apart. And from the moment we got together until and we got because I was on the same plane as her and another gal going to Podfest. We traveled together, we stayed together, we came back together, and that whole experience was just opening more boxes, opening more doors for me, and it was all because of her. Sometimes we're able to move beyond boxes by ourselves. Sometimes we need somebody else there to help nudge us. That is definitely hot, Sharon. Even the sweat is sweating. I don't even want to see what that looks like. Um, so as we're doing all of these things together, the boxes are falling away one by one, um, through this whole time together, and that's what it's been for us, and it goes both ways, and with Danielle as well. The three of us, we have actually moved beyond a lot of boxes, and there's still boxes that try to pull us back. Uh, there are times that things get really difficult, and I've talked about it. I will do a post where I talk about what it's like to slide into the dark valley of the shadow. Basically, that's like sliding into depression, and I even experienced it one time It's like I experienced it real time. I saw it happening step by step as I went from feeling okay to suddenly very depressed. Uh, that occurred Actually, that occurred last year because we had opened up our third anthology, and we had people coming in, and one of the first ones, I think the first to sign up, was somebody that was in our first anthology, and we were so excited to have her. And then, not maybe a week later, she was in, she was excited, she's like DMing me in LinkedIn, letting me know that she's there, and she can't wait to write and to share. And it was a big deal when she did that in the first place. And then she was gone. We found out on a Saturday that she had passed, and there were a whole lot of issues around that. Um, once, but it really hit me hard, and it hit both of us, CJ and I, hard because we were so excited to have her. Um, no mistakes. Welcome, Lemon. Nice to see you here. We were doing fine. We were excited, and suddenly this light was gone. It wasn't coming back, and we both just we had to slide. And I remember I was doing okay because sometimes with CJ and I, we do things one after we go through things together, or we go through things one after the other. Um, so I remember it was it was a Monday night and a Tuesday night. I think it was a Tuesday night, and she had passed on Saturday, and I felt it. I could see everything happening almost in slow motion, um, of sliding into depression. I knew what was going on. I knew what was happening. And here's the thing about belonging versus fitting in. I've said it many times. When you have a space that you belong, you're not wearing the mask, which means you can tell those in that space how you're doing, what's going on, what's happening. For me, I have emojis that I do it with. Sometimes I can't say the words of how I'm doing, but I have specific emojis that when my sisters get it, they know where I'm at. They know how I'm doing. And that night, I made a comment. It's like I had gone down the slide and put a specific emoji in there, and suddenly CJ's calling me. And we are on the phone, and she's basically talking me out of it. We're there for each other. That is what belonging is. That is what it means to be in a space that you're not afraid to open up, because you're there to share with each other. I think this is why in a lot of places right now, for a lot of people, that circle of belonging is very small, and it only has to be one person. You only need one person who believes in you, trusts in you, and makes you feel like you belong. If you've got two, it's even better. If you get three, it's even better. It's always going to be a tight circle. It's going to be close knit, and there's no judgment. Think about it. If you've ever been in a situation and you're feeling depressed, did you ever feel like you could tell anybody? Or are you hiding it? Are you keeping it under wraps? Are you keeping the mask on? Are you making sure that there's no holes in the mask? Are you verifying that the walls around you are thick? This is the importance of belonging. Um, no, transitions are never easy. And that's another reason why I call myself reinvention maven, because I know what that's like. The way I put it, when I did do this, um, drop the boxes, I'm done with all that crap. I'm done trying to be what others told me to be. It basically became a total reinvention, um, to to make sure that who I am authentically is who walks out the door, and not anything that has to do with what other people were trying to tell me to be and do and such. And reinvention, transitions, reinventions, they come in a variety of sizes. And it doesn't matter if it's big or small. They can be just as hard for a small one as they are for a big one. And sometimes they can be easy. So it's all there. In that space of belonging, being able to drop the mask, being able to have keywords, have emojis, have something that you can share with those closest to you to let them know how you're doing, especially when it's hard to say the words. And that includes texting the words, saying the words, whether you write it, whether you speak it. Sometimes a picture makes it a whole lot easier to just put it out there. And sometimes sometimes all I got to do is send the picture and I start feeling better. Why would that be? Why would it be that I essentially tell somebody how I'm doing and I feel better? It's because I'm not holding on to it anymore. When you're able to release something, to share it with somebody that is not going to judge you in that space of belonging, it actually removes negative energy that's been holding you down. It removes something that was holding you back. Part of it is fear. Once you've put it out there in the world and you know it's in a safe space, the fear is going to start losing its grip. It's like letting light into the box. And I talk about that when it comes to fear. I could talk a whole session just on fear, because it has the most seductive voice with us. It knows everything about us, things that we've forgotten about, things that we don't want to remember. It knows everything. It remembers every experience we've gone through and how to say it in such a way as to keep us in the box. Fear is a very good spin doctor. It knows how to play with your emotions, how to play with your thoughts, and basically create a translucent web. Because, like I said, the box isn't solid, there's cracks. The fear does not want you seeing what's outside the box. It doesn't want you to see the outside world as it is. So it creates a translucent web of lies with a grain of truth. So when you look out the crack, that translucent web blurs everything except for the grain of truth. And that grain of truth is purposely chosen by fear to keep you in the box, to make you not want to get out of the box because of too many what ifs. how things should go wrong. The thing is, when there's light coming into the box, when you start getting more awareness, you start seeing the world for what it is, start seeing through the translucency of the web to see that yes, that grain of truth it's true, but there's other things out there that are much better than that grain of truth, and what you're fearing is not necessarily going to happen. The more light that comes into the box, the less shadow there is. The less shadow, the less space there is for fear to hide, and its voice dwindles. The thing, because if you saw what fear looked like, you would run the other way. The voice, oh, that voice will. It's like, think of your favorite singers, or if you go back to the time of the crooners, the Frank Sinatras, Dean Martins, Bing Crosbys, and you have these voices, and when you hear them, it just draws you. That's the fear of voice. That's voice's fear. Fear's voice. When that happens, fear is able to get its grip and keep you in place. It snares you with its voice. But the less you hear the voice, the less it's there. That's when the awareness is letting in the light, and once that light is in, you can start making the plans to get out of that box, to move past the fear, to put fear in the space of protection, as it was meant to so long ago in human history. The protection it's doing now is basically keeping you from everything. Yeah, you just hate to see this. I'm sorry about that, Sharon. Yeah. Spin Doctor, Dancing with Ego. And that's what it is. When you get out of that box, who you are at your center is who comes out. And that's why I talk about being grateful on this journey, because I've been in that box for too long. It's been hard to get out, and there's still aspects that keep trying to pull me back in. But, well, the thing is, we don't fit just one box. We can be put in many boxes, multiple boxes. However, we are more than any one or all of those boxes combined. You can't say that you're just a piece of you. We're a whole. Everything about us is what makes us who we are. And that's why when I look back on the past and think about all the things that I could look at and say, I wish I could change. I wish I could change. I wouldn't. I wouldn't change anything. And I talk about this all the time. It's how I connected with CJ in the first place. It's because she's the same way. When I look back, to change anything is to change who I am today. I believe in the butterfly effect as written by Ray Bradbury in his time travel short story, A Sound of Thunder. If you've never read it, the basis is this group of guys goes back in the past on a hunting expedition to hunt dinosaurs. The dinosaurs are selected based on it was already going to die. Somebody has scouted everything out. They have elevated platforms so you don't step on the ground. You know the time, the place. Maybe this dinosaur is in a tar pit. It's never going to get out. So they have everything set up. And the number one rule is don't get off the path. So there's a political thing that starts at the beginning. They're talking about some election. They go on their trip. Something happens. Somebody does something. And they come back. Everything seems normal, but there's been a change. The butterfly effect. That's the same with us. If I were to go back and even just pick up a penny that I walked past, that could be enough to change who I am right now, to change my path to get here. And one of the things I am adamant about, I don't care if there's a chance that maybe my life would be better if I went back and changed some little thing, because that could change who I am now. That would remove so many important people from my life. I'm not willing to give up my besties and so many others that I have met over the last couple of years on a chance to try and make life better. Because when you go back and change something in the past, it changes who you are in the present. And you may not like that person in the present. It may have been just enough to change exactly who you are, and you become somebody that you don't like. And we don't need that. Yeah. And there's too many vets that have done that too, Sharon. And I'm a vet, so that's it's like that's why these are my two. These are the two groups that, when I talk about speaking, that I want to speak to on stage, to lift up from boxes, from whatever's holding them back. Um, it's standing on stage and talking to women about just this: move beyond the boxes, um, take control of your life, and let your authentic self out instead of hiding it. And the same for vets. Don't let other people keep telling you what you're supposed to do. Don't let them look down on you if that's what's happening. Um, you have value for both. We have value. Each of us has a purpose in this life. And when we allow others to tell us who and what we are, when we allow others to hold us back, put us in boxes, to label us, and that's another piece about the boxes. When we get put in a box, whoever's putting us in that box is because of a piece of us, not all of us, just a piece. And they are picking a subset of a subset of a subset of everybody in that box as the example of everyone in that box, when everybody in that box is as diverse as the rest of the country. If it's a box of neurodiversity, um, autism, ADHD, bipolar, borderline, so many others, you can't take one of those, you can't take an example of any of those and say they're all the same, because they're not. In fact, you can't take a box of quote unquote ADHD people and say they're all the same. Pull out one as the poster child for all. It doesn't work. It's not right, because they're not the same. There's different gradients, there's different variants, there's different experiences. So each person is unique. And just because somebody is neurodiverse, just because they overcame an addiction, just because they have an accent, just because anything. That is not a reason to look at them as being negatively different. We need to see everybody as being positively different. So we've hit the end of this show. It's been an hour, and I could keep going because this is a topic that I love. I love getting on the stage and talking about how we can lift everybody up, how we can move beyond boxes, how we can reach the next level, and that's so. With that, I'm going to say thank you for being here, and I will see you all next week, and have an amazing day. Bye.
Yo, it's not just a scroll. It's a movement. Get it? Hey, let's get it. Tap it, level up, this the real lane. Dr. Leyland dropping fire, not playing games. 50 deep with a mission and a voice. Ain't just talk, we the power, we the choice. We spotlight rebels, dreamers, queens, bosses, builders, legacy machines. You want truth, you want real. This the type of vibe that you feel and heal.
From the mic to the gram, LinkedIn too. 50 connections, yeah, that's the crew. Wanna grow, wanna shine, wanna be seen. This the dopest network on the scene. So don't just lurk, engage, ignite. Click that follow, change your life. This ain't hype, this a tribe on a mission. Level up style, legacy edition. So don't just lurk, engage, ignite. Click that follow, change your life. This ain't hype, this a tribe on a mission. Level up style, legacy edition.
Let's the real man, yeah. Let's get it. Tight, yeah. Let's the real man, hey. Type in, level up, just the real lane. Dr. Leyland dropping fire, not playing games. 50 deep with the mission and a voice. Ain't just talk, we the power, we the choice. We spotlight rebels, dreamers, queens, bosses, builders, legacy machines. You want truth, you want real. This the type of vibe that you feel and heal.
From the mic to the gram, LinkedIn too. 50 connections, yeah, that's the crew. Wanna grow, wanna shine, wanna be seen. This the dopest network on the scene. So don't just lurk in.